Brock and Bobby Lashley weigh in. The Grip couple ruined Maurice's birthday, and RK Bro win a spelling bee. This is the Wrestling Never Sleeps podcast. Welcome everybody to the Go Home Raw show for the Wrestling Never Sleeps podcast. I am your boy, of course, Jared Never Sleeps, and I'm here with my co-host, the coach, Travis Lillard, coming live from West Virginia. Travis, how you doing tonight, man?
Oh, we're doing good. This is week 3 of Raw in a row for me, and definitely an improvement of the last 2 weeks and an improvement over the product that I stopped watching about 5 or 6 years ago.
Massive improvement. I would agree with that. It was it wasn't great, but it was consumable. It was like
right.
it's like 2 day old pizza basically tonight's show.
Right.
It was very digestible, but it wasn't excellent. Let's just get right into the show. It opened up with the Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar weigh-in. They're gonna be fighting for the WWE Championship. And before we get into that, I just realized one thing. There's been no sign of Big E on any of these shows. What do you think is going on with that? Is he going to win the Royal Rumble?
That could be. I mean, because look at the last show when he lost the belt day one. We said, this is the end of this push. Maybe they're saving him, and he's going to come out and get that surprise pop, and maybe he'll go all the way. I've seen his names on a lot of predictions.
Yeah, that's true. But it would be the most WWE thing ever for Brock Lesnar to beat him, and then Big E wins the Royal Rumble with no type of momentum or anything. So that might be. Well, you guys have to stay put for our preview show on Saturday, and I don't know who's gonna win, but I might have to put my money on Big E now that they are not showing him at all.
I think he's definitely one of the 5 that I'm kind of narrowing it down to.
Mm-hmm. And so they had a weigh-in, even though WWE doesn't have any weight classes or whatever, and kind of a underwhelming segment. Usually one of these things ends in usually it's the main event, right? But it just kind of ended in a lot of just trash talking. There was no type of physicality. What do you think about this segment to open the show?
I thought it was weird, like you said. Normally, this is something that's kind of the main event, or at least something that's part of the way through the show, or gives a hot open. It seemed that it was just kind of flat. You had Lashley with the whole "I'm going to win this weekend." That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. And then Lesnar just coming out with, I can see it now. This is the headline: Bobby Lashley beats Brock Lesnar, just being a smart ass, and then walks away. Of course, this was after he wore, I guess, the cowboy hat and the flannel onto the scale, and just was getting Lashley irritated because he wouldn't take off all this stuff. But I'm sorry, getting Lashley irritated. But I definitely not the best part of the show. I mean, it had potential to be something that really made me look forward to the match, and I don't think it did anything for that. Not for me, anyway.
What I'm curious about is because this storyline was kind of put together when Roman Reigns caught COVID. I wonder what their original plan was for all of this. Had Roman Reigns not caught COVID, what would Bobby Lashley be doing? What would Brock Lesnar be doing? And even,
I wonder if it had been Lashley versus Big E.
Lashley versus Big E, but he's beat him. I think he's beat him twice. He beat him for the Money in the Bank, and then he beat him in that rematch they had on Raw. So
that's true.
It's. But even with the Brock Lesnar Bobby Lashley feud, I don't see Brock Lesnar taking getting the belt, losing the belt on the Royal Rumble.
I don't either. I really don't see either one. And again, we'll talk about this on our preview show, but I just don't see either title really changing hands.
Yeah, neither do I. And we'll definitely talk about that on our preview show. But before we go any further, guys, make sure you like this video and subscribe. It really helps us. We build this content. We're building this channel out for you guys, for lifelong wrestling fans like ourselves. So make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Moving forward, we had like a little squash match. Bianca Belair versus Queen Zelina. This thing went like maybe 2 minutes. And Bianca Belair, another dark horse to win the Royal Rumble. But this match looks like pretty much it was designed to just let her do something on the show.
It was very much let's make Belair look strong. Let's get her on TV. Let's have this short TV match. It almost reminded me lengthwise of like an old school women's match, but
Yeah.
I mean they were actually good moves. So
no bra, no panties though.
Right.
No lower saying puppies.
So yeah, just way to get Bianca Belair over Queen Zelina and make her look strong going into what we can only assume is going to be a very strong.
Yeah, I still they kind of kept her strong this entire time since she's lost to Becky Lynch over SummerSlam, but they've kind of also just put her in coast mode. She hasn't been really doing anything for the past like 8 months, and it just kind of like it makes her character kind of like blah to me because there's like really nothing for her to do.
And she's kind of been like stalemate. Is she gonna get a push?
Like
is she gonna
yeah
remain here? Yeah. I don't know if it's a slow burn effect, but I'm with you. I want to see something either happen or let's move on to somebody else being built as strong as what she is.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'll like have like a great showing in the Royal Rumble. 6 to 7 elimination, something like that. And but I'll get to my prediction on that prediction show. I'm not gonna
We keep teasing.
Yeah, right. Keep teasing the prediction show coming up.
It's hard not to do. This is the go home show. We're into the week of the Rumble. It's hard not to throw some predictions out there.
We do it for the ratings, baby. It's for the views.
Yes, sir.
So then we had Damian Priest versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. Championship. We talked a little bit about this off the air. Is Damian Priest a face or a heel? He's got like this alter ego thing going on, and he won this. He lost his match via disqualification. He keeps on like losing his cool, but yeah, I don't know what was the point of this match here, especially going into the Royal Rumble.
Match wise, itself again. This isn't normally the gripe. Match wise, it was a fine match. I didn't like the end. I thought it was dumb with the whole getting disqualified thing. However, you can argue it does fit into the gimmick, but I'm not a fan of the gimmick. So
every week,
right? And it's something that I don't understand yet. And with WWE, we might not understand it when it comes to fruition. But the placement here, I think it was just let's give Priest something to do. Always got to have KO on the show to give him a spot. Just kind of weird to me in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've never been a big fan of Damian Priest. Since he's even got on the main roster, it's kind of been like whatever. They just put him with Bad Bunny for that WrestleMania thing. KO during the pandemic, I thought did a lot of the best work of his career. With the feud he had with Roman Reigns was great.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're kind of leaning toward what it's going to be KO versus Seth Rollins probably at WrestleMania. But yeah, this was just kind of like a nothing type of match, especially with the U.S. Championship on the line. And it's kind of actually like the U.S. Championship has become like a forgotten belt.
Yeah, ever since Damian Priest got it, it's just been kind of on him, and I forget he's the champ. I still forget he's the champion, even though he's had it forever until he comes out. Because it's not like when others have had it and it's defended every week, every other week, every month. Like, yeah, he has not helped the belt, and I don't think the belt's helped him.
Yeah, it's just a placeholder right now. Same thing with the IC belt. Like I keep on forgetting, like Shinsuke Nakamura is the IC champion, and I think he hasn't defended it since like SummerSlam or something. I think it was some like weird stat where he hasn't defended the belt in like forever.
That's probably accurate because it's one of those things where you forget there's even an IC title because it's been so long.
Yeah, The WWE, if you think about it, has a lot of worthless belts. Like if you're not Universal Champion or the WWE Champion, it's like the tag team titles for the women is doesn't matter. Uh, let's see, who are the SmackDown tag team champions? I don't even know.
Usos.
Oh yeah, that's right, the Uso. Okay, yeah, SmackDown tag team champions.
Back and forth between
They
Usos
kind of
and then
roped in with like the whole Roman Reigns Universal title thing.
right. Well, and that's the problem with. I mean, you have three brands, and all three brands have multiple titles.
Yeah.
You just get into this funk where it's like participation trophies, right? It's a step above participation trophies because not everybody gets one. But what's it really mean when you get one of 12 titles as compared to one of three titles?
Yeah.
You know, um,
The
with them
women.
focusing on the brand split, that's fine. But I would like to see, like when they first started it, when they had the undisputed champion that went to both shows. I like that. Now that's hard to build anything for, certain pay-per-views or whatever. But a world kind of kind of waters down the meaning of having that top title. And if you're gonna have, 8 mid-card titles, it's just too many titles. It's the problem. So now it doesn't. When you have that many champions to keep track of, it just doesn't mean as much.
You know what they should do? Since the roster is small anyway. Since the roster is like really small anyway, since all the releases and everything, and it's supposed to be the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. Why don't they just have like all title unification matches? Just
I mean,
you could do.
they could definitely get away with it.
Yeah, I mean that might sell out a stadium, at least help. But I think I want to see Brock versus Roman, title versus title. I think that's like we talked about that. That's probably the biggest match they can possibly have, without bringing back The Rock or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine if that was for like a unification, which
Yeah.
I don't. That's not gonna happen. But that would be. I mean, that's just another stake that just raising the stakes even more.
But I mean, they trim the roster so much. It just doesn't make sense to have this brand extension anymore. And you're already seeing like different stars are going to different shows. Like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens were on SmackDown just last week.
Right.
So what's the point of the brand extension anymore?
That's very true. And I guess that's kind of getting into WrestleMania season. Once you get through WrestleMania, then that kind of tapers off a little bit after the draft, traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my third week in a row now watching Raw, and I've seen the same people, same stories building. So if you're never going to have all the champions on there, why does that title even need to exist? Right?
Yeah, it's just better off just having like a unified. And I think if having Roman on both shows would definitely help Raw ratings. I think.
Yep.
Or Sasha Banks having on her both shows when she comes back. Who's like there's a lot of great stars. Having Edge on both shows, like back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we can move on, but like you said, with the whole roster, however many releases they've had, 60 or so, superstars in the last year. I think now is a good time to look and see how we get everybody watching WWE, even if it's just Raw and SmackDown together, NXT being its own thing. I think that it's something to look at.
Yeah, I think their philosophy though is like, especially dealing with two different networks, USA and Fox.
Right.
I think there's probably more working pieces as to why they really just can't do stuff like that. I think like USA wanted specific stars, and then Fox wanted specific stars, so WWE's kind of caught in the middle, which is a good problem to have, because both these companies are throwing money at them, but
tons.
But it screws up the wrestling, the art of wrestling, the art of the storytelling for us fans. So that's why we have to rely on AEW to hold a lot of the weight with the story.
That's why we get to make podcasts.
Yeah, exactly, and complain about it. So speaking of complaining about things, next up we had a 6-woman tag match. We had Rhea Ripley, Dana Brooke, and Liv Morgan. The 24/7 champion Dana Brooke, who they're treating now as like a actual champion and not a joke belt, versus Nikki ASH, Tamina, no one's meaner than Tamina, and Carmella. And I forgot who even won this match. I know like Nikki Ash went and like blindsided Rhea Ripley to end it. Oh, that's what happened. what's her face? Rhea Ripley uh, tapped out Carmella, and then Nikki Ash attacked Rhea Ripley. Kind of, I guess, previewing some Royal Rumble heat, but this Nikki Ash Rhea Ripley feud I can do without. I think there's so much potential and so many things you can do with Rhea Ripley, and the superhero Make a Wish type character. I don't understand why she's a heel. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I can do without Nikki Ash being a thing.
Yeah.
I can do without the WWE 24/7 title because
Yep.
when we
Yeah.
talk
Don't
about
need that
having too
title.
many championships, when you have a joke championship, there's your first clue that you need to kind of clear out some titles. Uh,
Especially that one. Like I guess like the
it,
hardcore title back in the day was at least cool, like somewhat cool. But the
right,
24/7, it's
like
like
I enjoyed that. You could
yeah,
until it became a comedy thing, but that's just a style that I like to watch. But as far as this match goes, I legitimately I don't know if I took a really long time getting the bottle of water or what, but I think this was less than a 5-minute match. Yeah, it was. I seen the beginning of it, went to get a bottle of water, came back, and it was on commercial break.
I wonder how they feel like when they have to go out there and like do something like ridiculous match like this. Like, okay, you guys have 3 minutes. There's six of you, and like, what? Just go out there and just do whatever.
Well, as a performer, at least indie show wise, you get frustrated because you don't have time to really do anything. You're all about, you still get paid, but you want to go out there and you want to at least do something.
Yeah,
You traveled here, you've worked your ass off to get where you're at. Um, and I can only imagine this. I mean, here's the thing: there's no such thing. Well, I guess there is. Let me back up there. There can be bad TV time, but at least you're on TV in front of millions of people. But again, if you're out there for a cup of coffee and
yeah.
you get two moves in, and it's frustrating as a performer, but it's it's where we're at right now. We going into the Royal Rumble season with the women and with the men. I think
It,
that was the same thing we had with the 8-man tag last week.
I also think it's kind of frustrating that I'm looking at the people, the personnel in this match, and you have like a lot of pieces you can do stuff with. I mean, Rhea Ripley, like we spoke about before, I think she'd be great in like that Raw Women's Champion main event card caliber arena. Liv Morgan, she's been booked terribly, and she does have some talent. But just to put her in these kind of 6 woman things, it just kind of doesn't do anything to elevate her. I think Carmella is very much improved since she started wrestling a couple years ago. I think she has a great look. She's great on the mics. She can wrestle, but she seems to always be kind of in these stupid situations. I think Tamina you can also get some you can get something out of. That's kind of like that enforcer.
Yeah, I mean, I think she has that heel just
Yeah,
badass character in her. I don't see her having a run as a heavyweight champion, but I think that she can maybe be that sidekick that that the reinforcer of everything for everybody. So,
I like when she was
but
AJ
again,
Lee's
Nikki,
diesel back in the day.
yeah,
Like the diesel for AJ Lee.
yeah, and I think that worked for her. I don't think she's been in a position since then that's really worked for her.
Yeah, at all.
Um,
And then we have Nikki Ash was just completely fine when she was Nikki Cross. Pre
I
Alexa
loved
Bliss.
I love Nikki Cross in NXT.
Yeah,
It was a very, um, like you said, it was the Alexa Bliss character just turned down a few notches.
yeah.
Um, a realistic Alexa Bliss character.
Speak.
I think Alexa Bliss is kind of getting back to a little bit normal. I think they're
Yeah,
going to take
I
away
was
some.
just about to segue that. Speaking of Alexa Bliss, she had the little psychiatric segment. Um, I liked the goddess Alexa Bliss. I thought that was a fine character. She was a champion. She could talk. She could wrestle a little bit when she got some experience under her belt. And it's a realistic character, which I liked. It
Right.
just a regular girl who's just a jerk, and she wants to win championships, and she has feuds with people. That's fine. I don't think she's going to get back to that Alexa Bliss. I think right now she just using her time to audition for movies and television.
I, I would like to see at least a return to somewhat normal Alexa Bliss, if we want to call it the goddess.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a complete revert back to it, but I think it's going to be an evolution of that, and maybe a little bit of this new Fiend Bliss that she's been doing for the last, what has it been, year or 2 years?
Yeah.
I think it's been longer than I thought. COVID messes the whole timeline up, but um, the part of staying relevant is evolving your character, and I hope that we get a lot more of goddess style Alexa Bliss in the new reincarnation of whatever her gimmick's going to be than we get of the Fiend.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we know how WWE works. They want to make movies, and those damn people keep on buying those damn Lily dolls.
Right.
So they're
Yeah, they are.
screwing.
They're on the top, near the top of the list of the uh, merchandise, which shocked me.
Yeah, like CM Punk had said in his pipe bomb that we are the problem. We are just as much as a problem as the higher ups because we keep on buying this stuff and podcasting about it. So
Yeah,
it doesn't stop.
gives us something to do.
Yeah, it gives us something to do. That's how much we love wrestling. We'll watch it and complain. So,
Look what
so
Vince
then
did for us.
say that again.
I said, look what Vince has done for us.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Vince. We're just happy to be here. So then we had, well, I guess it would be the, can we call it the segment of the night? This spelling bee between
Yeah,
RK Bro and Alpha Academy.
for sure. And like I texted the group chat and I said, this is the first time in a long time I've watched any full segment on Raw, smiled, been like pulled into the TV. Like I legitimately enjoyed this. I love Gable as his heel. It's an old school heel, just cheap heat, calling the town stupid, and don't boo education, Ohio, because if there's anything you need, it's
Yeah, that's
education.
great. That was great.
And
The
maybe
crowd
that's
was very good too tonight.
right. That might be the educator in me. I love that whole reel them in and hook them. And I thought Randy was very into this. This is something I thought that Orton would just kind of coast through. Riddle actually had me tonight. I love the whole, the 420 thing that he does.
Bounces. Yeah.
That's how It's how he connected the spelling. I thought that was good. We mentioned something that was going to be on. I'm sure it's going to be on Botchmania.
Yeah, right. He
Just spelled his word wrong, but they said no, it's right. It's right. It was AL. He just said L, right? And then of course Gable didn't spell the word wrong. He just spelled the wrong word.
Yeah. So, you know what he reminded me of? He definitely was like Kurt Angle. Like when he was like, I got a 4.0, it kind of reminded me of like I won with a broken freaking neck. It's the same exact type of triumphant heel.
Exactly. And Riddle's comedy worked tonight. It doesn't always work for me, but it was a calibration, and he was like calibration or something like that. Normally that irritates me, but it worked. Maybe it's because I was watching a segment that didn't make me want to turn off the TV.
It was, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll look and people are gonna have mixed reactions about it. Like most people are probably gonna hate it because it's just silly. But yeah, I think it was actually entertaining. Like I was smiling too. Like it's so stupid that it's funny, and it worked.
Right. It's professional wrestling. There's some room for comedy, and like I said, the crowd was so into it. It definitely wasn't piped in, at least from first watch. The crowd, I mean, they were up, they were chanting, and then at the end when Orton said, we're going to hit you with the 3 most dangerous letters in the WWE. Say it with me, and the crowd was loud.
Yeah. Where were they?
And
they were in Cleveland. That's right, Cleveland.
Yeah. So you could definitely tell, like I said, Orton was fired up by the end of it. I think he may have just been shocked that everybody was into it. And of course, as a performer, when the crowd's into it, you get that adrenaline rush, and he was ready to go.
Yeah, because it's probably one of those things that you get midday and you're looking at this script and you're just like, shit, this could be kind of bad.
Oh, fuck me.
Like on paper, it's like, how you gonna sell me this? This is it's not the best material, but they,
Doesn't work for me, brother.
doesn't work for me, brother. Not gonna have to get the Undertaker to do it.
Right. They made it work.
Yeah. What do you think about the match between Gable and Randy Orton right afterward?
That was something that because of this, the whole thing that we had just watched, that whole segment. Asked me last week, I'd have been like, I don't care. This week, I was like, okay, let's see it. And I thought it was a really good match. I really did, especially for TV. And that kind of match, I think, is a good Raw match.
Yeah.
You had the
Yeah.
story that went right into it. This isn't something I'd want to see on a pay-per-view, a singles match between them two, but they were able to put on a good match. It told a story. Everything went well. I don't have any complaints about it.
And I think with working with Randy Orton, now a guy who just flipping through the channels, now he knows who Chad Gable is. Or even like the
Right.
segment, you have to now notice who Chad Gable is because the segment beforehand was good and the match was very good. Working with Orton, I mean, Orton's a legend. So,
Right. And of course, when you're kind of the new guy, you get pinned by Orton. That does not hurt you
doesn't hurt you at all.
because the Gable character is not a cast actor. They got the tag team titles. He's growing as a character, right? Just based off of his performance on the mic and getting the heat. It's not go away heat. It's heat because he's able to, like I said, draw in the crowd and hook
Yeah.
them, hook, line, and sinker. So getting that pin from Randy Orton doesn't hurt him. Doesn't necessarily do anything for Orton, but you're not going to have Orton lose on TV like that.
Yeah.
Orton's had other than the whole Fiend thing, I think he's had a really good couple of years. Probably the best of his career, and he's doing this legend thing right now where it's let's try to get other people over, and I think he's doing it. The three people that are working with him right now, with Gable, Riddle, and Otis, are doing nothing but benefiting every second that they're on air with Randy Orton.
You know what's crazy about Randy Orton is that I feel like he's coasting right now. Like he's using to get people over, and he's helping Riddle. I'm sure Riddle's learning a whole bunch from him. He's working in the tag team division, and everything. But he's still a guy that I feel like could be like a main eventer tomorrow if they needed him to like fill a spot. Like I still think that
they could drop RK Bro next week if they're in need, and he'll step right back into that Viper just like nothing. The transition that is seamless for him, and I think that he could go from RK Bro and being in scooter competitions and spelling bees to being in the heavyweight championship match come the Elimination Chamber.
He can win the Royal Rumble. That's the most WWE thing ever. He's
right.
He won the
I mean, he won the spelling bee tonight. He came in clutch during the spelling bee, so why can't he come in clutch during the Rumble match?
Be the first Grand Slam champion, because no one has a spelling bee.
That's true.
Nobody.
God.
So, we had arguably the match of the night, but I'll preface this by saying Vince McMahon met Austin Theory in his office, and they had their back and forth. I want you to go get a selfie, pal, tonight. And
just me, or is it the weirdest fucking thing in the world to even hear Vince McMahon say selfie or talk anything about a selfie?
Yeah, he's like 80 now.
So out of place.
Yeah. And also, like, his these segments aren't going anywhere. It's just like, does he believe that McMahon equals ratings? So that's why he's putting himself on Raw every week. Like, what's the point of these?
I mean, once upon a time, McMahon did equal ratings, and now it just equals an awkward segment with somebody that could be his grandson.
Yeah, it's weird. And it kind of looked like when Austin Theory left the room, like Vince like stared at his ass. Like it was just like, what's with these weird things that happens every week?
Nice ass.
I want more ass. Austin. Oh. Austin and McMahon 2022 is less than Austin McMahon 1997. But going into this match, AJ Styles versus Austin Theory, and I was actually very surprised. This was a really, really good match between these two.
Yeah, it really showcased what Theory is capable of doing, and I think that that's really what this was for. We talked about it a little bit before we started the show, and I think that just as we as we kind of introduced it here, this was definitely a good thing for Theory. Again, he might have lost, but it was something that he was able to showcase his talents with. Again, you have a legend like AJ Styles who could be in the championship match anytime he wants to be. Anytime they need him, they can pull that card, just like an Orton. But they can also use him to help this guy that they're trying to push. Obviously, that's why he's in a segment every week with the boss. With Vince McMahon. Um, Great match. There was so much back and forth. There was a bunch of hard hitting. I know at one point Theory hit a drop kick that I thought killed AJ Styles when he fell to the outside. Um, I think we went through two commercial breaks, maybe it was just one.
Yeah, it deserved a couple segments because it's like it's AJ Styles, but Austin Theory really was hanging in with him, and he had some great offense, some little flippy do things off the top rope,
Right.
which are cool.
I
But
think
I
it shows.
feel like it needed a
Theory
different ending though. I feel like it wasn't the right ending because obviously you can't beat AJ Styles with Austin Theory, but I feel like Austin Theory needed a win too. Or at least look a little bit better in a loss. It's something that was missing in the end. Like Austin had a great, he had a great match, and he looked good. But I feel like the ending could have elevated him in like as a heel.
You cut out a little bit there.
Oh, I said that Austin and AJ Styles had a great match, but I feel like the ending needed something where he looked great in a loss as well. Like it was missing something in the end.
Yeah, because the end was
He lost clean.
kind of the referee. Yeah. So, you could have done a number of things there. I think a roll up makes him look strong.
Yeah.
Normally that's how you want a baby to lose, but it can work. It can work either way.
Yeah, it's
I
tough
see what
to
you're
figure out
saying.
an ending, but
Right.
especially because he's
It
a
is.
heel.
Right. Right. They could have definitely went a different way with it, but to me personally, I thought that it was fine just because I don't think they're building him towards a title reign or anything right now. I think they're just trying to see where he can get to, and I think a loss to AJ Styles isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, it's
Then you just
never
get
bad.
these losses. If you keep putting him up against like Styles, Orton, all that kind, and he keeps losing,
Yeah.
then we're going to have issues. But I think that eventually down the road we're going to see some kind of redemption where he beats AJ Styles. That might be a rematch. This was their second match. Maybe they'll have a match where he finally gets that good selfie.
But
By the way, I have the worst Vince McMahon ever, but it's okay.
yeah, that was it. I got it. But that's why I feel like he needed that little like I almost beat you, I almost had you, and then that's why I feel like he needed that, and he just lost
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's a good point.
they're building him to something though. He just had a title match with Big E. He's working with Mr. McMahon, the chairman, and tonight he faces AJ Styles and has a great
Right.
2 segments and a loss. So they're
Right.
definitely building
He
something.
has a look. He can pull you in with the gimmick, the character, the talking, and also we've seen that AJ Styles has lost nothing.
AJ Styles
You know what I mean?
lost nothing.
He's still AJ Styles.
I've seen this on previous shows. I want to see Edge and Austin Theory. That's how you use Edge, in my humble opinion. You use Edge to have a feud with Austin Theory, and he should go over on Edge. I believe.
That's something that I really thought we was getting when Edge came back, but I think that he has more left in the tank than he thought and more than they thought when he was coming back. So we might get a couple of these Edge versus Miz kind of storylines, but I think ultimately we're going to see Edge versus Theory, Edge versus guys like that, where Edge is coming in and building these guys.
Yeah,
because he's more of a part timer than what his Styles and Orton is, obviously, because those two they're full time. Edge gets his little runs, and then he'll take a month or so off or whatever. So far, he has. So I think that all three guys can come in and make anybody that they're working with, but Edge is just a little bit above them, just based off of his time in the limelight.
he still has so much star power too. He just looks like a star.
Right.
Like he's got a great entrance and everything. He's just like Edge is just so cool.
He's an attraction.
He's an attraction for sure. He's just cool. And I want to see Rollins and Lynch versus Beth Phoenix and Edge. I think that'd be a good feud that they teased on Twitter a couple years ago too. So
Yeah,
anything can happen in the world of WWE.
Amen.
So moving forward, we have the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic versus the Street Profits, and this is a little fun little match between these two tag teams. Now the Street Profits, I feel like they're just kind of in like purgatory right now. They're not really doing much, but having these fun little matches and stuff, and just having their red solo cups around, and you know, Ray is the
I feel like they're trying
the
to
cover of
see-
2022 this year, WWE 2022 video game. Then there's Dominic.
Right. Then there's Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a little backstage segment before that where the Ray
right.
talked about it's his 20-year anniversary being in the WWE, and he hopes one day to see his son on the cover, and then they tease the whole, throw Ray out. Is Dominic going to throw him out? Again, just leading towards what we're going to see here in this match. I think they're trying to figure out how many different combinations we can do to have this set of guys on the screen. Last week, they were in their this week. As we're all getting time on TV, but it's all just filler.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. Just here we come to the Rumble. Let's get a bunch of people in the ring so we can talk about how much the Rumble is going to look like this. And with the Dirty Dogs, with Dominic and Ray, that's all they were doing. And it was, yes, it was a decent tag team match, I thought, but it didn't mean anything. It was just a match.
And the other thing is, like, none of those guys can win. Like, there's no way any of those guys win the Royal Rumble. Not the Street Profits, not the Dirty Dogs, and not the Mysterios.
Right.
No one's winning. And I think Montez Ford, dare I say he's got a better frog splash than Eddie Guerrero? Am I a prisoner of the moment? That frog splash is pretty sweet.
It is, and it's pretty. And I think he gets higher than RVD.
Yeah,
maybe it's a 6-star frog splash.
And it's very difficult to get higher than RVD. See what I did there?
Knee slapper. Set you up, and
we got a like for that.
Did we? Hell yeah!
Liked our video, awesome. So we need more weed jokes then. The data has told us. But yeah, and I think Montez Ford, he's the clear cut. He's the Shawn Michaels of the group for sure. To Dawkins' Marty Jannetty, unfortunately. I wonder what they're gonna do with Dominic too after Rey Mysterio. How much time does he really have left wrestling? He's wrestling for a long time.
Right, and you have Dominic, who's a very, he's not that charismatic of a person. He can have matches, but that only gets you so far. Everybody on the roster can have a match. So I feel like he might get lost in the shuffle whenever Dad decides to leave, unless he can really find himself. Right now he's literally Rey Mysterio light.
Yeah, and he's like very normal looking too. He looks like every kid I went to high school with. So it's like he doesn't look like he's not a giant, like he's not Brock Lesnar or something, or
he's got to find a way not to be Wish.com Rey Mysterio.
Exactly.
He can do that and become his own, which I think they're building into that. I think they want him to get to a point where he can go out there and have matches, and he's been carried enough, learned enough to develop confidence in himself. I think he'll go out there and find himself, and then that's when we're going to see. He might not be a main eventer or anything like that, but I think we find a spot on the card for that Dominic.
I feel like he needs a mask. He should have Ray's mask. I think that's going to help his character as well. Just kind of hero it up. And I wish they didn't drop the ball. I really wanted Dominic to turn heel on Ray, and then be like Samoa Joe's kid or something. That would have been awesome.
But that's Eddie's kid, right? That's.
Oh yeah, right. They had a match for the custody of a child.
Way back. Only in wrestling.
Only in wrestling could you have a match for the custody of a child. Why don't other sports do this? So what else happened on this show? Oh, are we already at the end of the show? So we had.
They teased
Go ahead. Sorry.
the whole like we're gonna hear from Seth Rollins next, right? And he said like three sentences, and it was gone. He basically just announced that he was gonna be on SmackDown. I thought
Oh, that
that
was
was
it.
kind of weird. Yeah, before break, it was like we're gonna hear from Seth Rollins next. So, and I looked at the clock and I'm like, well, how much time is he gonna have? Because if we hear too much from him, then this birthday celebration is gonna be 5 minutes. But
Isn't it crazy? Like they
it's
have.
basically, hey, I'm.
I think they get to the arena at like 1 o'clock. They have all day to like make a 3 hour show, and it's still like always off or something like that. It's always like not.
Always these little fillers, and I don't know if that was it being off or if it's just solely that's all it was supposed to be was I'm going to be at SmackDown this Friday, but they could have easily just put up a graphic instead of teasing him doing anything. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. I
It
just thought it was
is
kind of
what
weird.
it is. And
Yes, sir.
we spoke from we heard from Dewdrop and Becky Lynch as well. Um,
Yeah, that was a very kind of I thought old school WWE type thing. Um, I guess it depends on what your old school promo because you had the two of them kind of doing this whole satellite thing where they're talking to each other. Dewdrop gets irritated. She takes off the mic, disappears for a minute. Becky Lynch is still trash talking, and then you hear Dewdrop in the background of Becky Lynch's mic comes in. Becky Lynch sees her. They get kind of a little bit of a brawl going, and then before even 3 to 5 seconds pass, they're separated. So that last minute desperation to make somebody want to see this title match. Let's have them almost come to blows. They get their hands on each other, and then it's the tease. They're gone, right? Um, it still didn't do it for me, but hopefully it kind of hooked some people in. Just because if not, I think that it's going to be a very awkward title match as far as the crowd goes.
I don't think
I don't
anyone on
think
this
it'll be a bad
planet
match, but
believes Dewdrop's going to win the title from Becky Lynch.
no, and I think that's part of the problem.
Big problem. Even though she's like way bigger than Becky Lynch.
Right. Size wise, physicality wise, if the two get in a fight, you could believe it, but
Yeah.
nobody's touching Becky right now.
I'll use one prediction. I'm gonna spoil one prediction. Becky Lynch wins. She's gonna cheat with the leg thing that she does. She's gonna put her legs in the ropes. You heard it here first, people.
And you'll see it Saturday.
You'll see it Saturday at the Rumble. And last segment of the night, the beautiful Maryse. She had a birthday celebration hosted by her husband, The Miz. Comes out, gave her a couple gifts. He has like this painting made of them as like, what was it, like what are they called? Aristocrats or something?
I think they were a king and queen.
Yeah,
there was
king
kind
and
of a
queen.
glare on it. You couldn't see it too well,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it looked like. Yeah.
You gotta adjust the lens there, buddy.
Yeah.
And then he got her a bag, like some type of sparkly Money in the Bank briefcase or something. And then there was like a giant gift, and they're like, "Hey, what's in there? I don't know. Did you get it? No. Did you get it? No. So what the hell's in there?" And then they get the security to go and open it, and it's that brick that Maryse hit Beth Phoenix with last week. And they get a good laugh, and then Edge and Beth Phoenix come out, and they go through security. You know what? For as rich as Miz is, he could have got way better security for this birthday party. They were very fragile.
Well, like I told you, I know one of those security guards.
Yeah. They're usually like indie wrestlers, right?
Yeah, the one guy, he's been an extra. He gets used probably once
Every time they're in Cleveland.
every other month.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime in the area, there's like this whole like Ohio, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania. He's usually there, so he's somebody you can look back and see a lot of. But
I'm gonna be in my I'm gonna put that on my bucket list. Just one time, I want to be like a security guard on Monday Night Raw. Just one time. Calling Make-A-Wish tomorrow.
But for this segment, I had a flashback to the whole Seth Rollins Sting. The
Yeah, when his makeup came
the
off.
look at yeah, when he was in there sweating his ass off. And part of me would not have been surprised if they did that again. But I'm sitting there like the whole time, they're not doing that again. They're not going to do that again. It's going to be some kind of tease. Like this, not that it was a bad thing,
Yeah,
but to me personally, that was still so forefront in my memory, even though it's been a while ago. That I'm like, come on, you can't tease another big. It's not
reveal.
necessarily a return, but another big reveal like that. And I thought what they did was genius. I loved it. Putting the brick in there, it was a haha moment against the people. You knew Edge and Beth Phoenix were going to come out.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't a surprise. I'm just glad they weren't in that box and that it got to be that little bit more heat to kind of rub into the people's face. I thought that was nice. And
You
then
know,
when Edge and Marie,
you know, I forgot why they pissed. Why are they feuding again? Like, why are they pissed at each other? I forgot. Yeah, yeah. Mm-mm. Nobody knows.
it's a
That's gonna be the
good
Rumble
question.
match. They're gonna go in there and be like, "Wait a minute, why are we fighting again?"
They're just gonna hug it
Yeah, right. Go back to catering.
out. Kane and just Kane will come out because the other one can't.
Yeah.
But I loved when they came out and they started to hit it. What they hit? They hit the heart attack. They hit the 3D Edge with power bombs, looking like a big man. I don't know what all that was. All that was about, but
I like this
I thought
vest.
it was
His vest was cool.
yeah. I mean, they definitely came out looking pissed and like badasses and exactly what they needed to be. I thought it really helped. You had Miz and Maurice kind of being the chicken shit hills, which Miz does amazing at.
Yeah.
Maurice is doing well, just running beside Miz. Uh, this went from a match I didn't care about. I love Edge.
Love Edge.
I love the Miz.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily care for the whole mixed tag team match aspect of it, but after watching this, I'm like, oh, okay. I'll watch it. You know what I mean? So I think it helped do what it needed to do. And it was entertaining. It wasn't the segment of the night,
No.
but it was what I expected it to be.
With hindsight being 2020, would you have ended the show with this segment, or would you have placed it somewhere else?
It does surprise me that it was the end of the show, but I think with having Edge and Miz, I don't think it's necessarily misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're going to put the best segment last, we'd have had the spelling bee last, which would have been.
But then you would have had the Chad Gable Randy Orton match would have been the main event, so they want to do that.
Right. That would have been misplaced, and with is just straightforward with no real action that we had with the weigh in. I think this was the right choice to be last. Personally,
yeah, that weigh in was weird. It was weird.
It's weird when the opener feels like it's just filling in time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we got to get these two guys on TV. What do we do? I don't know. But yeah, I think this was a good way to kind of send the crowd home happy. Edge and Beth Phoenix looking strong, and here we are going into the Royal Rumble to start the road to WrestleMania.
And it's sign pointing season. That's my favorite time of the year. Screw Christmas. So right. Point to the sign. Do you think this is the go home Raw before the Rumble? Do you think it will like kind of do you think like the casual fans will want to tune in for the Royal Rumble because of this episode, or has nothing changed?
The casual fan, maybe they might have caught somebody with, like I said, the last minute hope of here you have this weigh in. If you really want to see them go at it, because they really didn't touch each other. It's just kind of like a middle school name calling session. Yeah. It was you might be like, oh crap, I want to see these two fight each other because they're both monstrous men, right? They might have caught somebody with the Lynch and Dewdrop thing, which I doubt. I think this ending segment, the birthday celebration, probably pulled some people in. It pulled me in further than what I was. So, the casual fan maybe, but if you're the hardcore fan, like I'm going to watch the Rumble no matter what, because and I wouldn't even say necessarily the hardcore fan. I think most casual fans are almost always going to watch it because of the Rumble itself.
I wonder if casual fans even exist anymore. CM Punk said that in a scrum, I think the last AEW pay-per-view. He was like, he doesn't believe there's actual casual wrestling fans.
I mean, I think they exist, but I think that you have more of the quote unquote smart marks, that or people that are somewhat involved in the business that watch it. Like for everybody's a mark, right? Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know everything about the business that they can. Does that mean that they know it? No. I'm lucky enough. I'm blessed to be an indie wrestler to get a little bit more look inside of it. I don't know how WWE runs, right? I've never been there. I've never been to AEW. I got friends that's been there, but I got a little bit more understanding than most. I'm lucky there. So when I hear some people talking about match psychology, all that kind of thing, I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, like I know the way at least was supposed to work, and no psychology, all that kind of. Maybe more of a what the smart mark used to be, but that's just because of social media and the way everything is portrayed now. Stuff that was insider lingo is now the casual fan lingo. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, but I think what's cool about that's one thing I love about wrestling because of the internet. It's a different user experience. Customer or audience experience in like watching sports. Like I don't watch, let's say, basketball and think like, oh, the coach should have did this or they should have ran this play and that. Like I don't look at it like that. The way like you would look at wrestling.
Right, and I think that's because being a fan of basketball and knowing basketball, that's not going to change based on how much access you have to basketball information or baseball or whatever. But when you take wrestling from the 90s when it was in the 80s when it was watching the product and really not getting a whole lot of background information or not knowing everything that you have at your fingertips here about everybody, to being deep in that world where you get to see their on-air personality, you get to see them on Twitter, you get to see everything that all these like Dave Meltzers of the world that's just shoving content down your throat, and you can't help but to be more involved. And I think that is with social media and the internet. I think wrestling, though a lot different and maybe ruined to some people, some of the old school guys, I think that it's just made it that much more of an inviting environment for a fan that really wants the ability to be consumed by some source of entertainment or some source of what we call the art form of wrestling. You can really get to know everything. You got to be careful with your sources, but you can really figure everything out about the business just by using the internet, and that's the beauty of it. Much more so than any other of the sports, I think.
Yeah, it's yeah, I just love the way like we can interact with this thing that's real, but it's fake, but it's real, but it's fake, but it's cool, but it's not cool. Like it's just so much to it that I love it. I love pro wrestling. It's freaking awesome. So let's rate this show from 1 to 5. What do you think was what would you rate this show? What grade would you give it?
Did I give last week a 2, I think?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want to go 5 or even 4. I'm gonna say 3.5. Just comparing it, like I said, this is my 3rd week back. Comparing it to the 3, that's what I'm going to give it right now. That's what I'm feeling. The 3.5. I might look back at it and say, oh, that was probably more of a 2.5 or 2, but I'm going to stick with that. I think it was a solid show. It was the best of the 3 weeks. Like I said, I was really entertained by multiple different parts of the show. We had a good bit of in-ring action, right? Unlike the last SmackDown I watched where we had 15 minutes of matches in 2 hours, it was kind of backwards with this. We had just enough in-ring segments, I thought, with the celebration, with the spelling bee, that was all we needed as far as anything that wasn't that in-ring action, and then we got wrestling. It felt more like a wrestling show than SmackDown, which is normally backwards.
Yeah. If I could give it my compliment sandwich, all right. The good things was the Austin Theory AJ Styles match was great.
Yes.
The good things about it were the RK Bro and Alpha Cabby Spelling Bee. I would say the bad things about it were the weigh-in was underwhelming. It was.
But it was so underwhelming, I even forgot that it was there.
Yeah, and this is like the WWE Championship.
Right, and a match that should have people kind of on the edge of their seats. I mean,
Yeah.
two huge men, two guys that could, I mean, literally beat the crap out of anybody they wanted to. So you should want to see them go in there, and I mean, it's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be intense. But after that weigh-in, it just feels like, all right, there's a Rumble match.
Yeah. I could also use a little bit more of Bianca Belair and some of the Becky Lynch. So it's kind of you need that on your show. I feel like, and I'm not cool with the Alexa Bliss psychiatric stuff. That's just kind of like, why are we doing this? To me.
Segments they had to me. You got this backstage segment where you're trying to keep some kind of sanity with them. I don't know. I might be way off. It's just that's what I thought of when I seen the whole thing.
Yeah.
When they were doing their I don't even remember what they were doing it for, but their anger management.
Yeah, I could do without that stuff. So, but that about does it for us, guys. Thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe this video. It helps our channel grow, and it helps us go ahead and create more wrestling content, which we are very passionate about. And I also, guys, make sure you guys check out our NXT show tomorrow. I think it's going to be with you and the Straight Shoot with the Suit. Adam Anthony James Martin's going to be there. Relzy, Orel Beckham's going to be on that. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. We will see you tomorrow, and have a good night. And of course, it's still real to me, damn it. For Jared,
Peace.
it's Travis. Peace out.